alone. Leave my husband alone. Say yeah. Leave my finance alone. Leave my health alone. Say yeah. I gotta carry my baby. It's time for me to advance. Yeah. The kingdom of the Lord suffers from. You know, Jesus himself said, from the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom of God suffers violence. Only the violent can take it. Another version says, since the day of John the Baptist, spiritual violence has been legalized. So it's okay to be violent in the spirit. The day you say it's enough, that's the day is enough. The day you said no to the enemy, that's the last time you see that sickness. I declare in the name of Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, the one who opens and no one can shut, the one who shuts and no one can open. Micah 2:13 says, the breaker has gone ahead of him. I declare, let every valley be exalted, let every mountain be leveled. I call you, I say advance. I declare enlarge. I declare break forth. I declare move forth. Say, hey, hey. Look at the enemy and say, hey, hey, hey. One more time, hey, hey, hey. It's time for you to advance. Hey, hey, hey. One more time. Say, hey, hey, hey.
How to take a normal ebook.
And we radiate your love as we worship and behold your face. The light of your countenance shines on us, and we radiate your love. As we worship and behold your face, the light of your countenance shines on us, and we radiate your love. As we worship and behold your face, the light of your countenance shines on us, and we radiate your love. Your goodness looks good on us. Your goodness looks good on us, and we wear your glory, and we wear your glory. Looks good on us, and we wear your glory. One more time as we worship, as we lift the name of Jesus up tonight. Shines on us. Say your goodness looks good on us. Your goodness looks good on us. And we wear your glory. Hey! And we wear your glory. Somebody lift your voice and say, your goodness looks good on us. Oh, and we wear your glory. We carry your glory and we wear your glory. Somebody lift your voice and say, your goodness looks good on us. Oh, and we wear your glory. Yes, sir. We wear your glory. Just one more time, somebody say, your goodness looks good on us. Yeah. And we wear your glory. Ashaba. Hey. And we wear your glory. Oh, no, 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 no. Somebody lift your hands with me and say, you are good and your mercy is forever. You are good and your mercy is forever. Ha! You are good, Jesus, and your mercy. Lift it up, say, you are good. Say, you are good, Jesus. You are good. We celebrate your goodness. Hey, you are good. Yeah. You are. Somebody say, we declare you are good. I said, you are. Lift your voice, your goodness looks good on us. Hey, yeah, your goodness. And we wear your glory. Somebody bask in the glory of the Lord. And we wear your glory. One more time. Somebody say, your goodness looks good on us. And we wear your glory. Yay! Say, and we wear your glory. Somebody lift your hands with me. Say, and we wear your glory. Yay! And we wear your glory. I wear it as a cloth. And we wear your glory. Yay! And we wear your glory. In our days we will see your glory. And we see your glory. Yay! Shabbat. And we see your glory. Somebody lift your hands and say, and we see your glory. Hey! One more time, say, and we see your glory. And we show your glory. And we show your glory. And we show your glory.
Disruption has become the buzzword across industries and businesses of all sizes. It is used, overused, and in many cases misused to describe any novel product or service. However, what exactly is disruption, and when can a product or service be termed disruptive innovation? American scholar Clayton M. Christensen coined the word disruptive innovation in 1995. He described disruption as a process where a small company with fewer resources successfully takes on an established incumbent business. In almost every industry, businesses need to innovate to stay competitive. But innovation can occur on many different levels and isn't always a guarantee for success. So let's explore where, how, and why businesses innovate and how they can do it successfully. The most common and straightforward place for a business to innovate is in its products and services. Apple's iPhone or Netflix's movie streaming would all fall under the umbrella of product innovation. Many of these innovations are a result of R&D or some new technological breakthrough. But very often, these companies use existing technologies in new ways or in different combinations. For example, Netflix combined their existing library of licensed movies and their subscription model with the emerging technology of video streaming to create an unprecedented success. Products and services aren't the only things companies can innovate. Every business function can be improved. Model, their internal processes and structures, or even creating a whole new industry. These kinds of changes don't usually happen in a vacuum. Companies can create internal environments that are conducive to innovation. One of the ways to do this is to have a business culture with looser structures and procedures. There need to be opportunities for collaboration across departments and open communication throughout the corporate structure. This enables internal networking that can often result in new ideas. Another key aspect is leadership. When leaders lack vision and are resistant to change, it results in a lack of motivation and a risk-avoiding attitude within the company. Innovative companies have leaders that can clearly articulate their vision and inspire their employees to constantly challenge the status quo. So, having leadership that clearly defines overall goals and enough freedom and information flow within the company allows employees to find innovative ways to reach these goals. On a larger scale, governments and other public sector bodies can create an ecosystem that enables innovation for businesses. First of all, they can accelerate technological development through research funding and public-private partnerships. They can enable businesses through the curation and distribution of relevant information, and of course, they can create a regulatory environment that incentivizes innovation, for example, by mitigating risks through subsidies. For business innovation to be successful, it usually requires a combination of these factors. Being in an innovation-friendly economy, having a business culture conducive to innovation, creating an innovative product or service, adapting your business model to the new product, and so on. While not all of these factors are always required, each of them would increase the likelihood of success. Let's recap. Business innovation can happen on different levels: products and services, processes, business model, or even industry model. Companies can create internal environments conducive to innovation. Success in business innovation comes from a combination of different factors, the most important being addressing a need. Disruption has become the buzzword across industries and businesses of all sizes. It is used, overused, and in many cases, misused to describe any novel product or service. However, what exactly is disruption, and when can a product or service be termed disruptive innovation? American scholar Clayton M. Christensen coined the word disruptive innovation in 1995. He described disruption as a process where a small company with fewer resources successfully takes on an established incumbent business. When established businesses focus on improving their products or services for their high-end, more profitable consumers, they tend to ignore the needs of the lower-end segment of consumers. This is where the disruptors swoop in. They target the neglected consumer segment, offering them a cheaper, better solution. However, there is no fixed definition for disruptive innovation. There are even conflicting arguments about what exemplifies disruptive innovation. According to Christensen, Uber was not a disruptive innovation. His reason being, Uber is an incremental innovation over the existing taxi industry. He said that Uber did not start from a low-end market. In fact, it was started as a platform for on-demand luxury black cars. Many do not agree with him. Uber did not start as a cheaper alternative to taxis until the launch of UberX. UberX was the game-changer that made taxis accessible at the tap of a phone, without any haggling and via online payment. It also created a market of consumers who would otherwise rarely ride taxis. The digital revolution is what fueled this innovation boom. The internet itself was a disruptive innovation that has forced businesses to keep innovating to stay relevant in the market. Fields like marketing and advertising have become more and more digital, pushing out their physical counterparts. The textbook example of disruptive innovation are Netflix and Airbnb. Netflix started off as a DVD rental by mail model. It targeted a lower-end segment of people willing to wait for a new movie instead of watching it on the release day. It pushed the industry giant Blockbuster into bankruptcy. When video streaming started to threaten its existence, Netflix also jumped on board and has now left TV cable companies and theaters in peril. Another major disruptor, Airbnb, offers affordable, short-term rental accommodation with a seamless experience using its app and allows hosts and travelers to interact directly. This has changed the game in both the tourism and hospitality industry, but also the real estate business. Without the internet, the successes of the likes of Netflix, Uber, Airbnb would not have been possible. It gave disruptive innovation a massive boost. Of course, there was disruptive innovation before the internet. The printing press, for example, was one of the first disruptive innovations. It automated work done individually by scribes, reducing the time and cost involved, and gave rise to mass communication and large-scale dissemination of knowledge. While there's no clear formula for disruptive innovation, there are certain factors prospective disruptors should consider. Find opportunities in an existing market where demands of a customer segment are not being met. While the incumbent established business in the field focuses on incremental innovation to cater to their most profitable consumers, target their lower-end customers. Provide a better and more accessible solution at a lower cost. Improve the customer experience. Leverage technology to the fullest. Technology is what is common to most of our major disruptors today. Consider Airbnb and Uber. They do not own any property or cars, but dominate their respective markets through technology. By its very nature, disruptive innovation is unpredictable. While there are definitions and recommendations, any disruptor's road to success and the subsequent consequences are unique, so we never know where the next disruptive innovation will come from. Let's recap. Disruptive innovation is a process where a small company with fewer resources successfully takes on an established incumbent business. The internet led to a boom in disruptive innovation by changing the paradigm in many industries. There are certain factors prospective disruptors should consider, including aiming at underserved markets and leveraging technology.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, good everybody. So we'll be looking at it as a presentation entitled New Digital Age, Opportunities and Challenges. But our focus today would be on web development. I believe we have gone through a lot of opportunities available in this new digital age era. I will be looking at just one area of it, which is web development. But before we do this, we'll just bow down our heads and pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for such a time like this that you have gathered us together at youth in this leadership and entrepreneurial school. We pray that as many as will join us today, youth, ex-students, school leavers, we pray that you use us to impact on them, and whatever we gain from here, we'll put it into practice. For in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen. So my name is Daniel Okun, and I'm actually in this field. I'm an IT consultant. I've been in the management of incubation labs, and I'm also a certified consultant in microtik. I've been involved in several conception designs of several software and hardware solutions across the country. And I'm also a network administrator. So I'll be anchoring this session today about opportunities in new digital era, but my focus would be on web development, though I'll be speaking more generally on how we can harness the resources in the IT field, because I believe it's not just about to learn a particular skill. There are some ways, because your focus is not just the skill. You'll be asking yourself, even having after gotten the skill, what can I achieve with it? If not, you may end up joining the group of people that are skilled. In fact, a lot of my colleagues, they are skilled, they are certified, but they have no way to apply their skills and their knowledge, which means that their knowledge is not really working for them financially. And if you happen to be such a person, you will now realize that those who you would later on advise, you may not be in a good position to advise them to go into the skill of digital technology or digital systems, probably because you have not been able to apply your knowledge and skill to work for you. So we'll be looking at few opportunities and challenges, and I'll be focused a little on my own personal journey and my own techniques in this field. We'll be reading just a verse of the Bible, Ecclesiastes 9 from verse 10. Whatsoever thy hand finds to do, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. For there is no activity or planning or knowledge in the grave whither thou goest. That is in the King James Version. And as an advice to you, youth, in the country we find ourselves, we have to use our country. I wouldn't say in the world of today. In our country, Nigeria of today, the unemployment rate is becoming too high. Yes, previously, all your target would be, I'm done with secondary school, possibly I'll get admitted to the higher institution. After the higher institution, in whatever field you feel you'll be going to study, you'll be aiming at a job. But believe you me, a lot of us that are already in it will tell you that the employment rate is getting higher and higher. Imagine about 100,000 people, or let's use a low number, 20,000, graduating from Nigerian universities from the field of petroleum engineering as a case study. 20,000 graduating year after year. How many slots do you think that the oil firms would have for that particular field? Let's say 10, 20 in a year. Because the companies don't just employ year after year. Most of them employ when they are letting go of redundant hands. When they have retired some other people, they now seek to employ more. So imagine they are just employing 20 in a year, and we have 20,000 or 2,000, even if it's 2,000 petroleum graduates. Where do they now reside when you are to take just 10? Of course, they go into the unemployment market. And what will now make you stand out is the skill which you have attained. The picture you are seeing here, you may have seen it before. This is a picture of a civil service job advert, job placement, just for an interview. You see the whole stadium fully occupied with young school leavers. And that is why the church have thought it nice to organize such an entrepreneurship school, so that while from your waiting period, the period in between your the end of your secondary school to the university, and also your break period as secondary school students, you could begin to use that 1 month, 2 months, 3 months to kit up yourself and skill up yourself with various skills. And from experience and in my field, I will tell you that the IT field is one of the fast selling skills. The IT skills is one of the fast selling skills right now. And it will do you good to get a skill in the IT industry, because the 21st century world now is all about information technology. In fact, the 21st century is information driven. So what we advise now, in your waiting period, you find a profitable niche, a profitable venture, a profitable space. But how do you know that that area is profitable? In fact, I'll tell you that all areas are actually profitable. It depends on how you apply the process I'm going to show you in no distant time. My focus will probably be on number 2, watching out for opportunities. But I'll be switching opportunities with problems. Because if you just depend on watching out for opportunities, you will still get into the bandwagon effect. Opportunities, you may tell me to be job opportunities. Opportunities, you may also tell me to be, now I have learned my skill. How can I find those in need of my skill? And that is now the opportunity you may be looking out for. But now I'll tell you, you don't need to find or search out for opportunities, because that perfect opportunity, or what you call perfect opportunity, may never come. Instead, you search out problems you can solve with the skill that you would get. After searching out those problems, you now look for ways you can provide solutions to those problems. After that, providing solution to those problems, you now upscale whatever solution that you may have found. There's a slide I'll try to move on to. Like as I've told you, I'll be more interested in web design and development. What is web design and development? Web design and development is the aspect of giving businesses or individuals a web presence. For instance, you know our church website, or you know JAMB website, jambng.org or jam.org.ng. That website was actually built by individuals and youths just like us. They were contracted to build that website. And what was the purpose of that website. All of us just know that whenever you want to buy JAM form or fill JAM form, you go to JAM website, but you never one day think and ask yourself, someone else is making money out of all these processes you are doing. The church website is a means of showcasing whatever is being done by the church. Now we have the GCK website. It's a means of showcasing all about the global crusade. So what is website and development? Website now is actually just a process of putting up a design online with the aim of showcasing or advertising a particular business or an individual. And it is a very simple skill you can learn, and in fact it's very, very lucrative. Why do I say it's lucrative? It's lucrative because web design, as in other skills of IT, is a particular skill without any definite price tag in the market. When I say there's no price tag, I invariably mean that you are your own boss. You set your price, and your price is based on what you feel you can deliver. And it will shock you to know that to deliver or to design a website, in fact, you can spend as low as 15,000 naira to develop a website. What I mean is this: even if you charge your clients as much as 100,000, 200,000 naira, 50,000 naira, you can spend as low as 15,000 naira to get that job done. Personally, I started from the field of web design in IT. I started by charging clients 10,000 naira some years back. As at then, by the time we charged them 10,000 naira, we ended up spending 7,000 naira because I was not well known as at then. Later on, my pricing grew because I discovered that for some clients, I'll get to bill 30,000 naira, and some other people are billing up to 100,000 naira. By the time your clients have sampled three businessmen and your price is the cheapest, it may be assumed that you don't have the required skill, though most times your design may be far better than what they are doing. Afterward, I had to now up my price. And in upping your price, you are now upping your marketing skills, because the price you are charging has to be directly proportional to your marketing ability. When I say your marketing ability, you have to be able to sell yourself, because when you sell yourself, you are also increasing your value. As used, I will advise those of us that may want to go into web design. There are various ways you can learn web design and development. Number one way is the way I learned. I actually learned online. In my days, there was nothing like Udemy, or not that I'm aware of. We just went to Google and YouTube to learn the skill of web design. Because whatever you need in the world of today, lessons are already online. You can go online and go and Google how to develop a website. You go and Google lessons, practical lessons on how to create a website. All you need is your internet access and your computer system, not your mobile phone, and you can go far in this. You can also subscribe to Udemy platforms. From what I've discovered, to buy any course on Udemy is very, very cheap. It's not expensive at all. And I'll show it to you right away. For some of you that may be asking, what is Udemy and how can I learn web design on Udemy? I'll show it to you practically how you can go to that website to get courses that teaches you web design and development. So I'll be sharing my screen shortly. Okay, so the website for Udemy is www.udemy.com. On this website, you can learn virtually anything. And as you can see on top here, from 3,000 naira, you can get to learn any course of your choice. Search for anything. I just want to type in web design. I click on web design. If you notice here, they will show you courses you can purchase to get started on web design. You can see mine here, web design for beginners, master web design, various prices. But what interests me is this: to purchase a web design course, it is as low as 4,500 naira. But I may advise you, there are some tools that simplify web design. You can type web design using WordPress. I've introduced another term here. Learn web design using WordPress. You can see various courses have come in with respect to that, and they are all very, very cheap. Learning web design using WordPress, and you are paying for knowledge. Mind you, you are paying for knowledge. And I always say that the greatest investment you can make for yourself is using your hard-earned money to pay for knowledge acquisition. Before I learned this, in my time I spent 6,500 naira to purchase a package of CD that I used to learn web design and development. And I spent several months, about three to 4 months, to learn that. But it will interest you to know that after learning it, I now started designing websites almost immediately. And not just that, that same CDs that I bought 6,500, I packaged it and started reselling to other people, which means I didn't lose. So even if it costs you to lend this money from someone, though I always advise, use your hard-earned money to do this, because what you purchase with your money, you find more value. I could come up and say that I'll purchase this course for 100 people, but from experience, I've seen that what you don't spend money to do, some of you may not end up valuing it. So you simply come to Udemy, purchase a course like this, learn web design using WordPress, spend time, search for internet, spend time and learn this. By the time you learn this, in fact, the world will be at the palms of your hand. In fact, you'll be independent from your parents, because you not only get your skill, you get financial breakthrough, and you also move on the step, because from web design now, you can now go into software development. But I always advise you start from somewhere. So Udemy is one area you can use to learn web design and development. There are other areas you can learn it. That is when you now think of going to web design agencies. That is what I mean, schools that teaches web design. There are a lot of them in the city of Port Harcourt. We have New Horizon, we have Aptech, we have Logtech. You can Google them. Any of them you Google, you see it. New Horizon, Aptech, Logtech. If you are the type that prefer learning in classroom, you can go to those websites and locate those training centers. And once you locate them, you can start your web design journey from there. But what I can promise you is this: once you begin web design, you can never be poor. I'll repeat that, because like I've told you, you only spend about 15,000 naira to get a job done for any client. Whatever you charge outside that is yours. A lot of youths, we have assisted them in this journey and they are always filled with testimony. Some of the youths we have assisted, they are now even establishing their own web design training schools, and we know them. They are seated among you. They have established their own web design training school. By the time you have done that, you discover that you make some money through the skills they have acquired, and you now grow and invest in other areas of IT. And by investing, you now notice that you keep up in the game. Now, I'll be looking at some strategies. Remember, I said it's not just about getting the skill. You may get the skill, but you may not be able to apply it. Let's look at some strategies, business growth model and strategies for 21st century youth. 21st century youth who would become business men and women. This 21st century is the age of the customer-centered approach. By customer, we mean that anybody that will be making use of your product or service. They may be clients, they may be users, businesses, governments, and citizens. In this 21st century, creating value is driven by being customer-centered. What do your customer need? What do your customer need? We have gone through the other ages, manufacturing, distribution, information, but in this 21st century, we are majorly referred to the customer satisfaction. Growing yourself and your business in this 21st century requires you to look outward. Outward, what problem are you trying to solve? How are you chasing your problem? Now that you have gotten your skill, or even the skill that you are about to get, you must know how to apply them after getting the skill. We'll now be looking at hunters versus farmers. I'll show you why I'm using these two categories of individuals. We see farmers in the context to which my lecture is modeled. I'm looking at farmers as people that are good at harvesting, not just harvesting, optimizing products that may have been planted many years ago. I'm not saying it is bad, but if you must grow and if you must be innovative with your skill, you must learn how to have qualities of an hunter. Qualities of hunters. What qualities am I referring to in particular? You must be able to spot opportunities. If you know hunters, or if you have heard of hunters, they have to spot opportunities. Their eyes need to be very, very sharp. Now you're talking about web design, digital age. Now you have gotten the skill. What opportunity can you spot? Personally, sometimes I tell people that having gotten the skill, someone like me, I don't let opportunities pass by because I create the opportunities. I try to apply the hunter's principle. By creating opportunities, you can walk up to any of your youth leaders. Maybe you have a youth leader that is a lecturer, that is learned. Nothing stop you walking up to your youth leader. Sir, I found a win-win situation for both of us. I found a way which I can make you popular at the same time satisfying your own self. How do you go about that? This is your youth leader, or this is your lecturer, or this is your school teacher who is a lecturer. What do you now do? You tell him that all your lectures, I can find a way whereby all your lectures that you have been teaching in school, or even your school, your secondary school. Last week, I visited one particular school. I was invited to solve a particular issue, hardware related. I told a colleague that went with me, let's go there. Not because of that issue, but because of something else. What did I do? I went to the school. That was my first time entering that school compound. I saw what they were doing. While they were more focused on why they called me as their challenge, I looked at something else. They were writing an examination. I told the man I came to visit, I said, I think I have a proposal for your school. He asked, tell me about it. I told him, okay, I have a proposal whereby all these your teachers that claim, yes, I say claim, that claim that they are proficient in so and so subjects. I have a system whereby it's called mathematics, and they are starting from JSS1 to teach mathematics, JSS1 first term. I told them in my solution, all what they are teaching in class will be recorded. After recording it, they will now put it on a website and the school can now market it. And when the school markets it, the teacher gets his own percentage, the school owner gets his own percentage, and of course me, as the web developer who will do all those jobs, I'll get my own percentage. That is 3 wins. A win for the school, a win for the teacher or the instructor, and a win for me. And the way I will then structure it, I will then make sure that in fact 50 or 60% of whatever is there comes to me. By the time you give such idea, if you see what I've done, I went for a particular issue, but I was able to spot an opportunity in it. And from my experience, there are some proposals that can never get rejected. Most especially a proposal that is solving a particular need of a client. That is why I said my focus will be on a skill. I've showed you where you will get the skill, but beyond getting the skill, how can you apply it? You can apply the skill anywhere. You can go to a hospital. I have learned the art of web design. I propose to design a website for your hospital in so and so format that will be beneficial for you and for me. Some time ago, I also saw a doctor friend. I spoke with him. I said, yes, I have a solution for your hospital. We'll develop this. And I won't say it here because if I happen to say it here, possibly someone would run with my idea, which I'm yet to implement. But I'll just give you some tips. I told the doctor, with my solution, I'll be able to win you customers. Customers that can't come to your hospital, you get them online. And it will be a win-win situation for you, your customer, and for me, the web developer. And I didn't just wait for clients to call me. Of course, when you learn some of these skills, if you want to wait, you keep on waiting. You keep on waiting for referrals, but you have to spot opportunities. A hunter needs an intuitive sense of problems as customers see them. As customers see them, it means that hunters sense problem. Hunters are agitators. Hunters try to push projects forward. Hunters, they are impatient. They are always the one bringing suggestions and ideas. In fact, people always say that hunters are always business minded. If you put any hunter as the head of any expenditure or anybody who have that hunting kind of spirit, put the person at the head of any business, that business will always flourish because they are natural pushers. They find ways to solve problems. They are willing to do a lot of things. They are willing to try everything. In fact, I told someone that was last week that you have to go and learn the skill of web design. After learning the skill of web design, the next question would be, your client may ask you, show me samples of what you have done. What generally people usually wait for, they wait to do jobs for clients, then use it to showcase what they have done. I told that individual, you don't have to wait for that. My own pattern is this. If I know I'm skilled in a particular field, I will try to replicate samples of what I can do. Which means that as a web designer, having learned it, I'll try to develop a sample of a school website using already existing samples. I may try to develop a church website. I may try to develop several types of sites. And those ones have now developed. It will cost me some money, it will cost me my time, but I have ended up creating samples for myself. And with those samples, I can comfortably use it to market and tell people this is what and what I have done. So hunters are ready and willing to try everything. They try to understand problems and bring solutions to it. Other than that may have skills, they may say it's not a good use of my time. Hunters are generally able to draw people to support their mission, and they are able to reframe problems. If you see hunters, whenever they see a problem, they are always able to identify the relevant problem and solve it in a different way to move things forward. As youth, I'll leave you with this. Now that you have gotten ideas of all what I've said, of all what previous speakers have been saying, you have to get the ideas, you have to get the problems. After that, you get the finance. The mistake a lot of us make is this: you try to put finance before planning. That is very wrong, because assuming I give you money now before you even have a plan, you make the wrong plan. Any plan that is done finance first ends up being wrong, because you won't be able to think straight. You won't think, your thinking will now be focused majorly on how to make whatever finance you have work for you. But if you start with ideas, what can I solve? What can I do? This idea I have, how can I apply it here? The ideas will make you to understand that there are some problems you can solve and even get funds without necessarily looking for finance. Having done that, from finance, you now move over to stroke operation stroke implementation. Building a business in this 21st century as a youth can be one of the most rewarding experiences, because the field is open. The field is open. The field is open, so it is a very rewarding experience. But what is even more rewarding is when you have now seen the results coming in. It will now spur you to do more. You have to evaluate your strengths. A lot of skills are available in the digital age. I've told you of web design. Previous speakers have told you of digital marketing. Others will still tell you of software development, and a whole lot of them. At a point, you may become quite confused and ask yourself, which one do I learn and which one will I drop? You just sit down. First of all, you look at your strengths. Not everybody can adapt to some things. You look at your strengths. From your strengths, am I a good risk taker? If you are not a good risk taker, you try to avoid businesses that involve a whole lot of capital. You look at your strengths, also evaluate your weakness. After doing that, you search out opportunities and the threats to those opportunities. With that, you can launch out to whatever you want to do. Remember, the Bible passage we started with, Ecclesiastes 9 verse 11. Whatever your hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. Whatever thy hand findeth to do it with all thy might. And I've left you with this, that you have to be hunter specific. You need to have a mind of an hunter to develop and and to and to scale up yourself, and also to make a good impact in the digital age. You must be willing to solve problems. Thank you very much. I believe we have learned a lot, and we'll take whatever you have learned to the Lord in prayer. Okay, so we have gotten some questions and I'll be giving answers to some of them. Someone is asking, what are the names of some web skills and up within Port Harcourt? I mentioned some in the course of my study. I'll put it on the chat box. I mentioned New Horizons. I also mentioned Aptech. Aptech is also an IT training institute. But first of all, I mentioned Udemy. That is www.udemy.com. I also mentioned LogTech. Is all on the chat box. It may be typed and displayed for you. So these are some web skills up within Port Harcourt. Please, any other question? Okay, YouTube channels for web development. I actually suggested Udemy. For YouTube, you could go to YouTube and search it out. Actually, what I usually advise against is this: using multiple channels to get training materials, because on the web out there are lots and lots of content and some of them may derail you. If you go to YouTube and go and type web design training, you see a whole lot of them. So it is better you start with one. Either you go to Udemy, buy a course, finish it up. Or if you go to YouTube, you can still go and Google on YouTube training on web development, maybe using WordPress. Training on web development using WordPress. You still see some of them. I can't land on any particular channel right now because I used Udemy most times for my own studies.
Imagine you could take towards multiple.
How long can it take for someone to become a web developer? Okay, there's a difference between a web designer and a web developer. If you are learning using what we call content management systems like WordPress, it could take you as little as 2 months, 1 month to 2 months. If you keep at it, you become a web designer. But web development now, you have to learn some other programming languages. It can take you as long as 6 months. 6 months minimum to be a good web developer, 6 months to 1 year. But the difference is this: a web developer or a software developer, you make more. It takes a lot of time. It can even take you 2-3 years because you need a lot of practice. But whatever products you develop or software you develop, you can now reuse it for as many clients as possible. Your profits become small. But website development or website design takes little time to learn.
Father to child, spirit to spirit, lighted by your word, and with your bread of life, that's how I come alive. That's how you change your world. That's how I change my world. Say Father to child, Father to child. Somebody lift your voice and say, just breathe your name upon me, breathe. Just